Today we're exploring how accessory dwelling units, or ADUs for short, can add needed density in historic districts, and how changes to the Denver zoning code in 2023 have added new allowances. Hi, I'm Crystal Marquez, your narrator for this third and final video in the introductory series on ADUs that is setting the stage for our upcoming landmark design guideline update that'll be focused on ADUs. So, what does Denver Landmark Preservation think of ADUs? Well, we support them because they add new housing on existing lots, create diverse housing options, as well as more affordable housing, and also preserve overall neighborhood character when designed to fit in with the surrounding historic context. As you can see here with the graph at the right, housing density within Denver's historic districts is much higher than the rest of the city. On the left are some existing ADUs in the Curtis Park Historic District that fit in with the district. Landmark design guideline updates in relation to ADUs are proposed to ensure that new housing and construction are in harmony with the existing historic character of Denver's historic districts. At the top is a breakdown of the number of standalone ADUs Landmark staff has reviewed over the last 5 years, and you can see that the number has increased somewhat over the last few years. We anticipate more ADUs will be proposed with the recent Denver zoning code changes as well. Now that you understand why we support ADUs in our historic districts, let's review changes to the Denver zoning code that were approved in June of 2023. We'll be focusing on the changes that relate to the design of ADUs specifically. 3 of the most significant changes are: 1, ADUs that were previously limited to 1.5 stories are now allowed up to 2 full stories, as you can see in the image at left. 2, the maximum floor area for ADUs has been increased to allow for larger sized ADUs. And 3, and our final point, is that ADUs are now allowed to have balconies or decks, which had not previously been allowed. So here's the first of the Denver zoning code changes we'd like to address with the revised ADU design guidelines. On the left, you can see a previously approved 1.5 story ADU versus 2-story ADUs on the right that have been approved behind a 1-story primary structure. Previously, only 1.5 story ADUs were allowed, but now ADUs are allowed to be a full 2 stories and up to 24 feet in height. As you can see at the top right, a 2-story ADU was approved in the Vassar School Bungalows Historic District behind a 1-story primary structure. The Vassar School Bungalows Historic District is a district of 1-story bungalow structures. Things to look at: does a 2-story ADU change the character of the lot? How about the district? Does the ADU relate well to the primary structure? Next, let's take a look at the second change, which is expanding the maximum floor area allowed by the Denver zoning code. The floor area has been increased overall, so larger ADUs will likely be coming forward from here on out. Here on the left are some examples of larger ADUs that have been approved, and on the right we can see an example of a larger ADU footprint that juts out past the primary structure on the lot and is 2 stories in height. Some things to think about. Although these ADUs are larger, do you think they are appropriate in the design? Do you think that the one on the right is sized appropriately for the lot and fits in with the primary structure? Finally, our third Denver zoning code change to focus on is the allowance of balconies and decks on ADUs. Previously, ADUs were not allowed to have balconies or decks. Here you can see 2 examples of recent ADU design submittals that have balconies proposed. On the left is a proposal that's located in the Allen M. Ghost Historic District with a single door with a transom window for access and a traditional window proportions facing towards the alley. On the right is a proposal in the Curtis Park Historic District, which utilizes a more modern design and wishes to use a sliding glass door at the deck for more light into the ADU. New landmark ADU design guidelines should address the allowance of balconies and decks. Things to think about: as more modern structures that are less visible, do we think sliding glass doors at these alley balconies should be allowed? Does it depend on the district? Does railing design matter? And are decks allowed to have canopies or awnings? So Landmark is revising our existing design guidelines for ADUs to better align with these zoning code changes we have discussed today. 1, the allowance for these two-story ADUs. 2, the increase in maximum floor area. And 3, the allowance of rear balconies and decks. Although we want to update to better align with the zoning code, we still believe ADU designs should complement the existing architecture of the historic context and still need to consider scale, massing, and aesthetics to ensure harmony with their surroundings. Here on the left, you can see an improved ADU that was designed to complement the historic structure in black and white on the right side of the image. This shows just one example of how ADUs can be designed to fit in with their historic surroundings. Thank you for joining us today to discuss density in historic districts and how we can address changes to the Denver zoning code with our design guideline update for ADUs. Please join us for our first community meeting about ADUs on February 27th. The in-person meeting will be at 6:30 p.m. at the Blair Caldwell African American Research Library located at 2401 Welton Street in the Five Points Cultural Historic District. Thank you.